Hi, this is Tom.
Hi, I'm Alex.
We're here to bring you another Amonkhet An Hour of Devastation draft. We had a lot of fun with the last one where we had quadruple riddle form. Hoping to get something just as interesting for you in this draft tonight.
Like 4 more riddle forms?
4 more riddle forms? How about 4 locust gods? That'd probably be better.
They're legendary, Dad.
True, but just in case one dies and somehow doesn't come back to our hand.
How about let's get one locust. Wait, we can't get. Oh, yes, we can. Let's get a locust god, a scarab god, scorpion god, Nicole Bolas, all three torments.
How are you planning on having people pass us all these things, Alex?
I don't know, but I really want Hour of Doom. That card is so much fun. And people are actually going to pass.
What's Hour of Doom, Alex?
Hour of Doom is the card where every time you cast a spell equal to the number of Doom counters on it, you get a Doom counter on it, and you deal damage.
That is not Hour of Doom, Alex. That's Imminent Doom you're thinking of.
Oh!
Alright, we have our first pack, and we've got a pretty weak set of rares and uncommons here. This is not a rare you want to first pick. Consigned to Oblivion is fine, but it's a gold card, and you don't like to be starting a draft with a gold card if you can help it.
I like Ambuscade.
Steward of Solidarity is pretty good. It's a decent uncommon that'll keep spitting out tokens. Great on turn 2. Great if you have some large pump effects like Trial of Solidarity. Ambuscade is the strongest common in this pack by a good long shot. And I actually like it a little bit better than Steward of Solidarity. So we're going to go ahead and pick that. Next up, we've got a rare missing in this pack. And this time we have a strong uncommon in Banewhip Punisher. It's one of the nicer ones. Dagger's not so good. Shafet Dunes, also not great unless you're going wide. Bitterbow Sharpshooters is a consideration. Not that it's competing with Banewhip Punisher, but I'm thinking if Banewhip Punisher was not in this pack, I'd be looking at Bitterbow Sharpshooters to go with the Ambuscade.
It's one to consider the island god.
Desert of the Mindful, Unsummon, Lethal Sting. Those are all up there, but we're going to take Banewhip Punisher here. Picks off anything with 1 toughness by itself. Also can kill anything just about in the format for 2 black. Or you can put a counter on something and kill it later if you like.
Or something that already has a counter on it.
Correct. So there are more creatures in Amonkhet, but there are you will see some that where opponents will put counters on their own creatures. And looking here, we've got another uncommon desert. We've got a very strong black-white zombie card that we may consider taking here. Countervailing Winds, Faithful, Naga are all mediocre. Lethal Sting is probably the best of the commons in this pack. We have an unfortunate foil land down here. Nothing on the bottom is anything I'm excited about. It's either going to be grabbing the Lethal Sting or the Unraveling Mummy. Lethal Sting is not something you want in multiples. It gets much worse because you do need to have a creature out, and you are harming or possibly killing your own creatures to have them. I'm going to grab this Unraveling Mummy here early. We may not wind up in green, and black-white zombies is one of the stronger archetypes in the format.
I do agree. Chandra's Defeat. Another Consigned to Oblivion.
This pack isn't looking great for us either. From here I see Chandra's Defeat is a perfectly fine sideboard card. I would not like to take it this early. Striped Riverwinder is good, especially if you're in a green-blue ramp deck. Sidewinder Naga is passable. You really need a desert to make it worth its while. Frilled Sandwalla is something that's fine in especially aggressive decks, although I have heard people that like it in a lot more decks than that, because it is a fairly flexible card and you can slide it in anytime you've got 1 mana free later in the game, even if you don't have a turn 1 or turn 2. Beneath the Sands is a fixer. If we want to be green, I would not probably splash white and black for it. I think I'm going to grab here that Frilled Sandwalla and hope to see something that's a more clear sign of what's open. Here we're getting some more mixed signals because Sinuous Striker is probably the strongest card in this pack. arguably Appeal to Authority might be stronger, but it's a gold-colored card.
I like Sinuous Striker. It has done very well in my experience.
Alright, let's go with Sinuous Striker then, Alex. We're kind of flailing around a little bit, but we did see 2 Consigned to Oblivions. If those come around, that's going to be a strong sign. Here, I think this is a strong sign that blue is open. Deserts, cycling deserts are quite powerful. There's a lot of cards they turn on, and they act as late game mana sinks to help you from getting flooded. You can cycle away your extra lands. And the fact that there's an unsummon in the pack also kind of tells me that blue isn't being drafted so much. There are 4 white cards really in the pack, which tends to indicate white is open, although none of them are great. Solitary Camel is probably the best, but it's not very good at all without a desert. But we're going to grab the blue desert here and still trying to find some direction here.
Lots of defeats are coming around.
They are. I'm going to grab this time the Striped Riverwinder. Maybe we're going to wind up blue-green here. Maybe we're going to be blue-black. And that Mummy goes in the sideboard, but if I wasn't going to pick the Riverwinder, I could see an argument for Survivor's Encampment as a desert and a mana fixer. And here we are back to the first pack we saw. I'm sorry, no, this is the last pack of new cards here. Here we have another Striped Riverwinder and a Sidewinder Naga. I think we're going to add another Riverwinder to it. Having cycling cards is good, especially if the blue-black starts coming back around again. I'd like to see Cycling Matters cards in those 2 colors. Did our first pick have Consigned to Oblivion, Alex? I believe it did. So somebody grabbed that, and we're not seeing it. So here I'm going to take a Manalith. We really don't know what colors we are, so grabbing something in colorless that's playable and can help us if we struggle to get all of our colors down is might be the wisest decision at this time. I'd love some thoughts from other people watching this draft. If you had a different idea of where this could go. Feral Prowler, now that I think about it, is... Actually, I'm going to grab Feral Prowler.
Make up your mind.
I know. It can do a lot in a deck. It can get you safe on the ground early, trades for a card late. Here we've got 2 blue instant speed spells that are most likely packs. Thorn Malik is not bad in the red-blue spells deck, or possibly a red-black aggro deck with removal. I think here, though, I'm going to grab this Tragic Lesson as we try to figure out more what we're doing. This time, I'm going to take Countervailing Winds. And we definitely saw a few blue cards come around, but the black, the 2 Consigned to Oblivions did not wheel. So somebody else is trying to do blue-black, so that's probably not where we want to be. Blue-green, we do have the Ambuscade, although we don't really have great creatures for it. We've got 7 drops. Ideally, you want to have those beefy 4 and 5 drops in green or pair it with red. Now, here's actually an interesting question, is if we want the Riverwinder or if we want to take a Beneath the Sands to help us splash. And I think getting that first bit of splash help might be best in this deck. It also cycles, so if you don't need the fixing or the ramp, you can do that with it.
I like to come back to this just a one that can take out 2 1s. And later comes back as a 4/4.
Does. I'd like to pair it with something like a Vizier of the Anointed. I think that's the blue one, right?
Vizier of the Anointed is the white.
No, so Vizier of the blue.
Tumbling Sands?
No, it's the blue Vizier that goes and finds you a card with Embalm or Eternalize and lets you draw a card whenever you activate.
Vizier of the Anointed.
No, I think you're right that that's the white 1/3 with Embalm that gains you a life whenever a creature enters the battlefield.
Okay.
Whenever a creature token enters the battlefield, yes. So we're hoping for some better cards in this second pack. This did not go well for us at all. We don't have any Desert Matters cards yet to go with our desert. Alright, what do we have? Grinded Dust is a very strong rare. It's not in the colors we want to be in. Sand Strangler, we did not see any red coming around to us at all, really. in the last packs, which might mean we can cut it this pack and get some good value out of it. There's Oasis Ritualist, though. I do have 2 7-drops that I'd like to cast. Oasis Ritualist will help you get there. I did say that green-blue was somewhere we could be. We definitely have some playables in green. So let's start out with that.
Hour of Eternity. Seems fun.
Hour of Eternity is definitely a card you can do a lot of things with. There's 2 things here I like better than it right now. Ambuscade is the first one. And Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs, if I can get a couple more deserts, having an 0-4 early blocker that can slowly ping your opponent is quite good. I'm going to start with this Ambuscade, though. It's a safer pick than Hour of Eternity. If I just had some...
But isn't our goal to be fun?
While we're winning, yes. I don't feel like I'm in a place where I can make good use out of Hour of Eternity. If I had more fat cycling creatures, I would consider it, but right now I'm going to take the Ambuscade. Honestly, that Hour might wheel. So, this is not a Riddle Form deck at the moment. Tenacious Hunter is quite strong. Even without its 1/1 -1/-1 counter ability, it's a big fatty 4/4 for 4. Goes great with our 2 Ambuscades. There's an argument for Ronus' Stalwart or Spellweaver turn, especially the Stalwart. It's a good 2-power attacker. I don't feel like I'm going to be aggressive here, though, so I think I'm looking more towards getting some fatties down on the ground for my Ambuscades. Still a chance to pick up another one, the 3rd through 5th pick in this pack. I wouldn't mind some more fixing, so I could look for some bombs to splash. And here we are not seeing anything for us. In fact, this is a fairly weak pack overall. The strongest cards are probably in black between Wretched Camel and Merciless Eternal. And the Ruin Rat is passable. The best card in the pack in a vacuum here, I think, is Kenner Scrappa. The Merciless Eternals might be comparable. Since I guess we have at least 1 black card we'd be willing to play, out of all this, I'm probably most likely going to grab another black one to go. This draft is not going well, Alex, so you're getting an idea here of what happens when you're not getting strong signals and you're trying to put a deck together. Put this in the sideboard for now. We start getting a ton of good black. Our blue's really not all that good. Our best card in it is honestly that Desert of the Mindful, followed by the Sinuous Striker, but we don't have the Desert synergies yet. The rest of this stuff, I'd rather not have to play the Combatant, rather not have to play the the Tragic Lesson. Countervailing Winds is not a good counter spell. So really, if we're looking at what cards would I for certainly be playing in these 2 colors, I'm looking at one black card that's better than all 3 of these blue cards put together, and Merciless Eternal, which is passable. Here, once again,
Consigned to Oblivion.
Here's a Consigned to Oblivion, but it's unlikely I'm going to be playing blue and black, although I can easily splash the black off of the backside with an Oasis Ritualist and 1 Beneath the Sands.
We do see quite a lot of Consigned to Oblivions.
Other options, green and blue both have mediocre 1-drops. I don't feel like I'm going to be this aggressive deck that wants this 1-drop. I could take a blue flyer. Ambuscade fits well with this because it's likely to get through. I could take another piece of fixing. Or I could split the baby here and take Consigned to Oblivion. I kind of regretting not taking those when they came around before, so I think I'm going to grab it now.
The Sparkly Abundant Sarcophagus.
We do have a double rare pack here. Abandoned Sarcophagus is quite strong. What do we have for cycling so far? We've got Beneath the Sands, 2 Striped River Winders.
Is that it? I think that's it.
That Countervailing Winds. I would play it if we did. Other strong cards in here are Accursed Horde, Survivor's Encampment, Reason to Believe is not great. By the time you get to 5 mana, you don't really care that much about cheating something out. I'm going to take a speculative pick here and go with the Abandoned Sarcophagus. If I start picking up some decent cycling cards, this could be good, and I'm going to play it no matter what color I am in.
I'm going to go with the Reason to Believe. It's in our colors. We need a few more cards in green blue.
It is. I'm not a fan of that card, though. The front half of it is basically just a cantrip, so you really only care about doing the back half of it, and having it's 5 mana to cheat out something in limited is not strong. Here I could take the Spellweaver Eternal or the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. I feel like I'm going to be trying to go for a long game more here rather than being aggressive, so I'm going to take the Wall.
It is worth noting, though, that we may need more creatures in the future.
For what reason?
It seems we don't have very many creatures right now.
Especially on the low end. So I'm going to grab an Unsummon here. Although I could grab Cycling, but getting back a Wall with Abandoned Sarcophagus is not the kind of strong thing I'm looking for. I could grab Survivor's Encampment, which will help me fix. I think I'm going to actually go with that here. I don't mind having another desert. The blue Uncommon Desert is definitely the weakest of the cycle. You're not really going to be winning with it. The question is, do we want it for the Wall? Or do we want something like Cunning Survivor?
I think we need a few more low-end creatures.
I don't disagree with that. I think I'm going to grab this Cunning Survivor. Here's the question of, do I want a bit of fixing, and do I want a Wretched Camel to go with my deserts? I think I'm going to grab fixing, and I'm leaning now towards being of almost straightforward 3-color Sultai deck. I've got 3 pieces of fixing, 4 with the Survivor's Encampment. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
these are all quite bad for us. I will put the Proven Combatant into my sideboard if I need it.
However, Attorney did not wheel.
It did not, you're right. I am not going to play any of these. I'm going to take the rare. In a desperate move, I might play that Grizzly Survivor, although I would rather not. If I'm splashing more black, I'm not playing the Eternal, but I am playing the Banewhip Punisher.
With that weakness.
It's a possible cycling card. Likely I won't play it, but I'll leave it in the sideboard. And there's the Glorybringer. Well, this is why you take Oasis Ritualist whenever you see it. Glorybringer is a rare. There is a reasonable chance you'll see one in your Amonkhet pack. And it's possible that people to your right may not take it if they see it in Glorybringer. I think our number one want now out of this pack is a Gift of Paradise, 3-drop enchantment that lets you tap your land for double of any color. That will actually ramp to Glorybringer 1 turn sooner than Oasis Ritualist will. No fixing here. No strong blue cards, no strong green cards. So our choice right now is between Decimator Beetle and Electrify. They're both quite strong cards.
If we're trying to get a little into red for a little bit more stuff we can splash, we might want to take Electrify.
How's our removal right now? We've got the 2 Ambuscades and the Banewhip Punisher and the Consign. That's reasonable at the moment. Glorybringer itself is removal. I think I'm going to go with the Decimator Beetle. I could use another 5-drop or 2, and it goes well with the Ambuscades. The -1/-1 counters go well with the Tenacious Hunter.
Fair enough.
Nothing great we want here. I see 2 real options. What do you think they are, Alex?
Bannerblade Warrior.
Yep, just a solid 2-drop. Even if it's a little bit better being aggressive, it's still going to trade for things.
And Wandering Death.
That's exactly right. We do have 2 Cyclers. That makes Wandering Death better. We have a Stone Cold Bomb we want to get back if we lose it. And a very strong Decimator Beetle too. I'm leaning towards Wandering Death. I hope we don't run into too many aggressive decks before we fill out if we don't fill out our 2 spot. What do you think out of this pack, Alex? Once again, I see kind of 2 options here. And I see you reading Hazoret's favor. That's not one of them.
Yeah. Essence Scatter.
And?
Horror.
Yeah, I think both of those are good additions to the deck. Essence Scatter is just a solid removal spell. In blue, especially, can stop things like gods that otherwise you can't handle. We don't have any other way to deal with than either the indestructible gods or the return to your hand gods. Horror of the Broken Lands would go just fine in this deck, although we're not going to have black early necessary to cycle a lot, so I think the Essence Scatter is definitely the pick here. What do you think in this pack, Alex?
I'm reading about our skills right now.
I'll save you the trouble. Skip it.
Alright. Philosophy, I don't know if that's a good card, probably not.
No, Class Speed is just fine.
Right.
It's just a 5-mana 5/5, blocks up the ground. It can win you the game if it goes late and you've taken care of other things.
And the elite is also very fun
if I was
not white.
Right, if I was heavier in black, I'd be considering Painful Lesson to help me draw to my bombs. River Serpent is something else to consider, but actually no, I like the River Serpent a little bit better than.
You want a little bit more cycling.
I want more cycling, especially with the Wandering Death that we just picked up. What do you think here, Alex?
I see a castle. What else do I see? I see,
We're looking at the 3 blue cards, or possibly grabbing Manglehorn for the sideboard. I don't mind Manglehorn for the sideboard. Illusory Wrappings is one of the weakest removal spells in the format. 3 mana to leave it on the battlefield. It can still activate its abilities. Naga Oracle is also probably my other consideration versus Manglehorn. I'm actually short playable still, and we're not playing this Sarcophagus, I don't think. I'm going to grab Naga Oracle. What do you think here, Alex?
I see another River Serpent. If you're heavier black, Unburden possibly.
I agree. I don't think I want a double black card, even though it cycles for colorless here. I just think I'm going to be casting that so infrequently that it's not going to happen much. So I'm going to put this back into the grab another one of these. Now we're looking at a serious number of cycling cards that we may want to consider that Abandoned Sarcophagus again, although we obviously don't have to make that decision now. What do you think here, Alex? Our colors are definitely open. I think, in the end it became pretty clear that blue-green was the right place to be.
I see a decision paralysis.
That's better in a more aggressive deck, which is not what we are.
We do have a lot of cycling, so Active Sentinels will be a little bit better.
It could be solid. Let's see. I'm going to actually grab this Winds of Rebuke here, though. I don't have an unsummon effect. Oh, I do. Winds of Rebuke. Well, I do have Consign to Oblivion, which is an unsummon effect. What do you think here, Alex? For instants and sorceries, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
8 if you count the
7.
2 halves of Winds of Rebuke.
You don't, because that doesn't count twice for Cryptic Serpent. It counts as an instant and a sorcery card, but it counts as 1 card. I think we have enough of the big fatties here. I'm going to take the wrappings just in case. I probably won't start it in the main, but I could see times when I would want to side it in. Here, just going to grab a Dissenter's Deliverance for the sideboard.
Litter Blade?
Nope, Spidery Grasp. Spidery Grasp or Sunscorched Desert is not a good desert, so I'm going to grab the Spidery Grasp. Probably won't play it, but I'll be considering it. Here, similarly, I'm looking at things with cycling. Floodwaters does... Scarab Feast is a good anti-god sideboard tech. I think I'm going to grab that. Floodwaters is just too slow and expensive for this, not doing anything. Trespasser's Curse, if somebody's playing an Oketra's Monument against me, I'll consider it. Cancel if I desperately need ways to deal with gods. Alright, so we are going to go to deck building here very shortly. Yes, Alex?
Nothing. Just
So,
thinking.
alright, looking here, I'm going to separate out the non-creature spells.
Not have very many small creatures.
We don't, but we do have plenty of things to actually do on turns 2 and 3. There's a fair number of them.
And MSKs are good because we have a bunch of large creatures.
So if I'm looking at things to bring in, it's a counterspell with cycling. Tragic Lesson helps us dig. Not Merciless Eternal because we're not heavy enough into black. Not Unveilment. Abandoned Sarcophagus. So let's...
I might want to say I like Abandoned Sarcophagus.
Let's count cards with cycling, not including deserts. Let's count cards with cycling here. Make a little pile down here. Beneath the Sands is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Possibly 7, 8, 9, possibly those 3, although of them, frankly, the only one I actually want to be able to recast is Countervailing Winds. Although without weakness, might be worth it to save. Is in order, the power of these cards. Countervailing Winds I would play first, followed by Without Weakness, followed by Scarab Feast. I would need to have, I think, many more Cycling Matters effects before I wanted to play
all 3 of those.
All 3 of those. Countervailing Winds might be one I bring in. For cuts in here, the 2 I don't like are Naga Oracle and Frilled Sandwalla. Frilled Sandwalla especially, I'm leaning towards taking this out of the main deck and not starting with it.
Because it's a smaller creature and we just need some earlier blockers.
Correct, but a lot of games you won't need that. So if I'm going to cut something, that's probably the first thing I'm going to cut. Naga Oracle, just kind of generic 4-drop, although it does 2 things I like. One is it digs towards the 2 bombs I really want to get out because I honestly do not have a lot of ways. No, that's not true. I was going to say I didn't have a lot of ways to end the game, but I'm kind of forgetting that I have these 5 and 6, 5/5s, these 5/5s down here. I could see cutting 1 River Serpent, although with the Wander in Death and Abandoned Sarcophagus lets me cast Wander in Death a second time out of my graveyard, and that could be quite strong. So I'm leaning towards taking out the Sandwalla and bringing in the fun card, Alex. What do you think?
Fun cards! I love fun cards so much. I don't care if we win, I just want to play the fun card.
Well, I like to have fun. I also like to win. You know, I think you need to find a balance of this. Obviously, if I didn't find this fun, I'm not good enough and I'm winning often enough that I would do it just to be winning. But on the other hand, if I was terrible at this and losing constantly, even if I was having fun games, I don't think I would like it because, A, it gets more expensive if you lose more, because you, especially on Magic Online, you pay for your next drafts with your winnings from this draft. So, Alex, what do you think looking through here? Is there anything up here you want to bring in? I see a lot of good things we can sideboard against aggressive decks.
With the Fireman Archer, the 2/1, whenever you cast it, starts sorcery, you deal damage.
Stopping it from attacking early is good, saving some damage on that. These go into the graveyard well with Naga Oracles. The question is, do I want to bring in a Countervailing Winds, and if I did, what would I take out for it? Interestingly, both Consign and Oblivion are non-land permanents, unlike Unsummon, which is only creatures. I could also consider playing 24 cards with 16 lands, because I do have a Traveler's Amulet. You do get to count Traveler's Amulet as a land, typically when you're building decks. I do have 4 1-mana cyclers, is that correct? These 4, that's 2, that's 2. This is 2.
That's 2.
Desert is 2. So having 4 1-mana cyclers is another reason to have slightly less lands. So actually I think I'm fairly comfortable with fairly comfortable with with 16 lands. But here's a question, Alex. How many mountains do we need to play?
I guess 2. Because you have the Traveler's Amulet and you have the Survivor's Encampment. Because the Traveler's Amulet and Survivor's Encampment both count as a red source.
So does Beneath the Sands. The problem is there's one red source is 100% useless. Doesn't accomplish anything for me in this deck. I need 2. Which means I either need to have Ritualist by itself, because it'll tap Exerted for double red. Or I need to have, let's see if I just put in 1 for now, just so I can count. I need to have some combination of 2 of these. Which means I need to get through roughly half my deck to see it. It's quite a lot. If I add 1 more basic mountain to it, now you're talking about getting through 40% of your deck to be able to see both of those. And this is included into 2, of course.
Don't forget you also have to get it through about half the deck to see your Glory Bringer.
On average, yes, because there will be games when I draw red sources and no Glory Bringer. I do have lots of ways to get through my deck more quickly. Put all those here. So I'm thinking 2 mountains if I can get away with it. So I guess the question right now is, if I only have 16 lands, can I get away with it? So let's take a look.
You have 23 cards on your main board right now.
So let's take a look at 23. Right, let's bring that in here. Take a look here. We don't want any more mountains. We actually do definitely not need that many black sources. 1 swamp is perfectly fine because we can get it with Amulet or Beneath the Sands. Interestingly, Abandoned Sarcophagus allows me to recast Beneath the Sands if it's already in my graveyard. So that gives me another chance at it.
It does. You can do it twice.
Yep.
So Abandoned Sarcophagus kind of counts as another red source for Beneath the Sands purposes.
I'll keep it in the back of my mind, but I'm not going to include it in my count. So here I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lands. I get 3 more. I've got 5 blue, 6 blue, 7, 8 blue. That's probably enough. I definitely want more green, though. If I add all 3 to green, that's going to give me 6, 7, 8 green sources. I think that's reasonable, too.
Green than we need blue, though.
Well, remember, one of our blue sources requires green first, Beneath the Sands. We also have a double green spell. So this gives us 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it gives us 9 blue sources. So we do have more. It gives us 6, 7, 8.
That is 8.5.
I'm not going to count this because you need a green first before you can use blue Beneath the Sands. So this is 8 green sources. 9 and 8 is okay.
Oh, because the desert sort of counts as an island.
The Desert of the Mindful counts as a blue source, yes. Black sources, we've got 1. Actually, I was not counting Oasis Ritualist. We actually have 10 blue sources, so we can consider going down 1 in blue. But on black, we've got Swamp, Survivor's Encampment, Traveler's Amulet, Beneath the Sands, and Oasis Ritualist. I think
you were counting Oasis Ritualist when you did blue, because there's 5, 6.
Survivors is 7, Tramulet is 8, Oasis Ritualist is 9, Beneath the Sands is 10. So 10. So I could consider going down 1 blue. I'm not sure where I would put it. I think Mountain is getting too excessive. But I think we're good as it is. This is 10, 8. What did we say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. 10, 8, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, yeah, I think we're good. It's a little weird having more red, but we do need that double red. All right, you ready to play, Alex? Any last-minute changes you think you would make here? We've had a sec to think about it. Do we want this tragic lesson to try to dig to our bombs? And if we did, what would we take out for it? I don't think so.
Tragic lesson can be used to get 2 red.
Well, it helps you. Okay, that is true. If we have enough mana, we could cast Tragic... we could tap a red for this.
If we had 8 lands but only 1 red, we could tap 3 non-red. We could
tap 3 islands to catch Tragic Lesson. Tap the red source. Return the red source to our hand. Replay the red source. Play it for the second red. And tap 3 more lands for... 3 more lands for Glorybringers. How many lands total do you need for that, Alex?
8.
Count it out.
7.
It is 7. It's 3 islands, or island and 2 anything, plus 1 mountain. You're going to replay that mountain, and then 3 more sources. It's actually only 6 because you're replaying that mountain. Costs 6 total mana. No, 3,
5,
4.
6, 7, 8. It costs 7. 8. One of it is replayed, so it's 7. So it's 7 sources.
8 with 1 being replayed. Yes, 7 lands. 7 lands. You could do that. Very cool. I did not think of that. If we can't cast Glorybringer until we have 8 mana sources, we're probably losing already as it is. So,
Fair enough.
So I don't think that comes in. If it did, I could see maybe Winds of Rebuke, since we already have one of those effects, or possibly the second River Serpent. But I'm pretty good with where we are now, so let's run it and see what we got.
Let's go.